Andorra. Andorra is a high Pyrenean valley polity whose legendary origin links to Charlemagne, who supposedly liberated the valleys from Muslim forces and placed them under the Count of Urgell. The first secure references appear in the early 9th century, when Andorra formed part of the Hispanic March, buffering the Carolingian realm. Rival claims by the bishops of Urgell and the lords of Carboy, later inherited by the Counts of Foix, produced a unique settlement in 1278, the Pareage, a feudal charter that split sovereignty between the bishop and the count. A second Pareage in 1288 clarified obligations and courts. Through inheritance, the Foix rights passed to the French crown for King Henry IV, so that the French head of state and the Bishop of Urgell became permanent co-princes. Andorra stayed neutral while paying tributes, weathered the French Revolution, and had its co-principality restored by Napoleon in 1806. The 20th century brought brief turmoil in 1933 and a fanciful claim to kingship by Boris Skoserev in 1934, then cautious neutrality during the Spanish Civil War and the Second World War. A modern constitution approved in 1993 created a sovereign parliamentary co-principality, preserved the two co-princes as ceremonial heads, and enabled United Nations membership. Today, tourism and services dominate its small but prosperous state, Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein sits along the Upper Rhine between Switzerland and Austria. In Roman times, the valley belonged to Raetia, later settled by Alemanni and folded into the Holy Roman Empire. The county of Vaduz and the lordship of Schellenberg passed among regional dynasts until the House of Liechtenstein, powerful landowners in Lower Austria, bought Schellenberg in 1699 and Vaduz in 1712. Seeking imperial immediacy and a seat in the Diet, they secured recognition when Emperor Charles VI created the Principality of Liechtenstein in January 1719. After the empire dissolved in 1806, it entered Napoleon's Confederation of the Rhine and emerged as a sovereign state, later joining the German Confederation in 1815. The army was abolished in 1868. A constitution in 1862 and a new charter in 1921 established a constitutional monarchy. After the collapse of Austria in the Great War, Liechtenstein pivoted to Switzerland, concluding a customs and monetary union in 1923 and adopting the Swiss franc in 1924. Franz Joseph II took up permanent residence in 1938 and remained neutral during the Second World War. United Nations membership in 1990 and participation in EFTA and the European Economic Area fostered a high-income economy based on manufacturing and finance. Monaco. Monaco occupies a rocky Mediterranean promontory settled in antiquity as the Greek sanctuary of Monoikos and the Roman Portus Monoeti. In the Middle Ages, it became a Genoese outpost, and on January 8, 1297, François La Malizia Grimaldi seized the fortress by ruse, founding a dynasty that still rules. French recognition of independence in 1489 anchored autonomy. After a period of Spanish protection, the Treaty of Péronne in 1641 placed Monaco under French protection and elevated Honoré II from lord to prince. Annexed by revolutionary France from 1793 to 1814. Monaco then fell under Sardinian protection. Revolts in Menton and Roquebrune in 1848 ended with the Franco-Monegasque Treaty of 1861, which ceded both towns to France, confirmed full sovereignty, and brought compensation. Charles III chartered the Société des Bains de Mer in 1863, promoted railway tourism, and abolished direct taxes in 1869, transforming finances through the Monte Carlo Casino. A constitution in 1911 established a constitutional monarchy, while a treaty in 1918 tied foreign policy to France and safeguarded succession. Rainier III, from 1949, modernized the state, reclaimed land at Fontvieille, and revised the constitution in 1962. Monaco joined the United Nations in 1993. Albert II succeeded in 2005. San Marino. San Marino traces its origin to a Christian stonemason, Marinus, from the island of Rab, who according to tradition founded a small community on Mount Titano in the year 301. Nestled within the Apennines, it survived the medieval age as a rural commune allied with the papacy and wary of nearby powers such as the Malatesta of Rimini. In 1463, after supporting Pope Pius II against Sigismondo Malatesta, San Marino received the castles of Serravalle, Fiorentino, Monte Giardino and Faetano, creating its modern outline. The Republic statutes of 1600 provided durable constitutional rules, with a dual captains regent system elected every 6 months. Napoleon respected its independence, and the Republic declined his offer of enlargement. During the Italian Risorgimento, it sheltered Giuseppe Garibaldi in 1849, earning later guarantees from unified Italy and a friendship and customs treaty in 1862. San Marino remained neutral in both world wars, briefly suffering military occupation and bombing in 1944 while hosting refugees. A socialist-communist coalition governed from 1945 to 1957, an unusual case in Western Europe, before a constitutional crisis restored broader balance. San Marino joined the United Nations in 1992 and adopted the euro in 2002. Today, tourism, light industry, and philately sustain Europe's oldest republic, Vatican City. Vatican City is the tiny territorial state that secures the independence of the Holy See, the ancient governing body of the Catholic Church. Papal temporal power began when Frankish protection and the donation of Pepin in 756 created the Papal States across central Italy. That realm endured through medieval and early modern wars, until the Kingdom of Italy captured Rome in September 1870, ending papal rule and starting the Roman question as popes styled themselves prisoners in the Vatican. The Lateran Pacts of February 11, 1929, signed by Pius XI and Benito Mussolini, recognized Vatican City as a sovereign state, settled finances, and established a concordat with Italy. The Pope holds supreme legislative, executive and judicial authority, assisted by the Pontifical Commission and the Governorate. The Swiss Guard, founded in 1506, protects the Apostolic Palace. Though enclaved in Rome and only about 44 hectares, the state enjoys extraterritorial sites such as major basilicas and Castel Gandolfo. Neutral in wars, it sheltered refugees during the Second World War. A revised fundamental law in 2000 modernized governance. Monetary accords allow issuance of euro coins since 2002. Internationally, the Holy See, not the city-state, maintains diplomatic relations and a permanent observer seat at the United Nations. Malta. Although often grouped with Europe's microstates, Malta is only a microstate in a loose sense. It is markedly larger in land and population than Andorra, Liechtenstein, Monaco, San Marino, and Vatican City, and it operates as a small sovereign state within the European Union rather than a city-sized polity. Malta's islands straddle central Mediterranean sea lanes and have been contested since antiquity. Neolithic communities built monumental temples long before classical times. By the first millennium, before the Common Era, Phoenician settlers made Malta a trading station, later absorbed by Carthage and then by Rome, which named it Melite and Christianized it by late antiquity. Byzantine control gave way in the late 9th century to Arab rule that reshaped agriculture and language, leaving strong Siculo-Arabic roots. The Normans took Malta in the late 11th century, tying it to the Kingdom of Sicily. In 1530, Emperor Charles V granted the islands to the Knights Hospitaller, who founded Valletta after withstanding the Great Siege of 1565. Napoleon seized Malta in 1798, but a Maltese rising and a British blockade forced a French surrender in 1800, with British rule confirmed in 1814. During the Second World War, from 1940 to 1942, Malta endured siege and received the George Cross. Independence came in 1964, the Republic in 1974, neutrality in 1987, European Union membership in 2004, and the euro in 2008.